Well, hello, that's me again. Today is July 7th, it's Friday, happy Friday, and here's something for the weekend for you guys to kind of wrap your brains around. And it's not going to be thematically connected, although everything today is connected, but there are some important points which are necessary for me to make, especially on the eve, almost on the eve of the NATO summit in Vilnius. And we will start with news. And today, you know what, I find myself constantly in the uncomfortable for me territory of the commentator on news. Obviously, you have to have news, and absolutely they are a crucial part in what you do, but sometimes so much of it goes into single segment, and so many of them are that important that you cannot simply omit them. Otherwise, I will have to be making videos like 5 times a day, and yeah, this is obviously it will not fit their schedules and any kind of other considerations for me and for my patrons. But here we are. Let's not put things away for too long, and let's start with this. And I am on the record that while United States American higher education has still very solid, very good STEM education, some very good STEM schools, humanities a part of the American education is complete propaganda nowadays, and brainwashes students into the political activism. And here it is. Here's we have this news. Why has a prestigious U.S. university decided to host Ukrainian neo-Nazi latest rebranding effort? Then here it is. This is the ongoing fight for freedom. Defenders of Mariupol return to Stanford. Read the flyer advertising an event on the California University campus. Hosted by the Department of Slavic Languages and co-organized by Stanford Ukrainian Student Association. The June 29th event featured an Azov commander and the wives of 2 other Azov commanders. They actually featured the guys who proudly carried the Das Reich, insignia, and who are Nazi battalion, also known for some absolutely inhumane treatment of the prisoners of war and civilian population. This, of course, for Stanford, as well as for the majority of other humanities departments and whatever Slavic languages, not to speak, of course, about Russian study issue, because as I am on the record, the Russian study field in the United States is dead. It's a swamp, it's filled with fraudulent people, and when you have this, obviously, guys applauding this at Stanford campus, what can I say? First, there is nothing prestigious about anything which comes out of the, as I already stated, humanities degrees in the from the United States or any other Western university. Those degrees are primarily trash. People with the IQ about room temperature probably can handle it within a year or year and a half, except for obviously languages, because languages require constant training. But here it is, doesn't matter. And of course, when you have Mr. McFall, who has his roots and who is a loser in every single human or academic or his diplomatic aspects of his activity, what do you expect? So yeah, they applaud to Nazis in the United States and on Stanford campus, and again, I do not understand why they call Stanford prestigious. It's a very good engineering school and probably medical. I'm not sure about medical. The rest of it is garbage, basically, as pretty much most of it is, including the Ivy League, all those, sociology, cultural studies, and things like that. It's all, most of it, to the propaganda and political activism, and has zero academic value. So there you go, we have this thing. And if this wasn't enough, so we can go and kind of move further into this kind of twilight zone of the American and Western, how to put it politely, it's not even delusion, it's something, and it's not even, how to put it, propaganda only, it's something more fundamental, it's something more visceral, if you wish. And here it is, just to demonstrate to you how and where it all goes. evidently those losers from Western media, and as I already stated, once you get into the, especially British media, but in general, Western media, or in some Russian media, your IQ begins to drop precipitously. You basically begin to lose any kind of the semblance of the normal human. You begin to lose intellect, and of course you completely make a deal with the devil, because you begin to support all kind of the perversions which are characteristic and today a political mainstream in the West, be that pedophilia, be that Nazism, be that Satanism, what have you. And here it is. Wagner affair still is not going to be put to rest by all those cretins. And here's the piece. Look at this, how it's presented. In the Yahoo, ex-Wagner soldier speaks out on the failed rebellion in Russia. And in an interview with Yahoo News, Gabby Doolin, who worked with Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, criticized his former boss and said the organization is deteriorating. Okay, I agree, actually, Wagner was deteriorating and turning into the organized criminal group. But let's kind of get into the piece itself, and look what we have here. And you can see yourself, this is the basically explanation of what this Russian soldier, ex-Wagner group soldier, on the failed coup, and here it is. In the weeks following a failed mutiny that saw mercenary soldiers marching toward Moscow in armed rebellion, Wagner Group parliamentary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin has been banished from the Kremlin's inner circle. Now, it is written by some Irish bimbo. She writes all kinds of garbage for The Sun and all kinds of the tabloids, and I will get to her CV shortly, but let me put it this way. They still do not understand that actually Prigozhin never was in any kind of inner circle, not only Kremlin, but even defense ministry. But explaining this to somebody who graduated and dedicated his life to spreading BS in the Western media is impossible. They don't have anything. They don't have integrity. They don't have their self-awareness. They're stupid, pretty much. Well, they're probably pretty smart and cunning when it comes to the promotion of their careers, but here it is, and they continue to spread this garbage. But this is not the point of it. Let me go first to the CV of this Kavanaugh lady. She is Niam Kavanaugh, Irish journalist living in London with degree in politics and a predisposition for fashion. And when you look at this, I would say, yeah, she should have concentrated primarily writing about lingerie, and degree in politics is not a degree, it's a fraud. It's the garbage, basically, academically speaking, and anybody, I knew some plumbers, and actually I know one plumber who actually became plumber with degree in similar degree, and what do you know, from Berkeley. And he stated, you know what, my sociology degree was crap, basically, it was useless. And well, my God, he is making a lot of money actually doing the plumbing, and he said, I'm very content with what I do. So there you go, this girl needs to go and become a seamstress, I don't know, or something like that. I mean, I don't know what's her other, so to speak, preferences, but obviously she continues to spread baloney. But here comes the most important thing, and here is about this dude, Gabby Doolin. Who is Mr. Gabby Doolin, who calls himself a Wagner ex-soldier? Let me show you. And here we get to the point of why Western journalism as a whole, 99% of people who work there, they have no professional qualifications in anything. Some of them are just downright stupid and may not necessarily be too bad of the people, but majority are jerks, pretty much, who will sell anything. They will sell their children for their careers, and here it is. Well, here is the news about Mr. Gabby Doolin. And here it is from 2022. It's RK News agency. And let me explain who is ex-Wagner, quote-unquote, guy. Well, he is a complete fraud. This is the only sources which actually Western media, and incidentally, actually Western intelligence love. And here it is. The title reads as "Dressed Up Wagnerite, quote unquote, Gabby Doolin admitted that he has no relation to the company of Prigozhin." And here it is, what I translate to you directly. The writer Marat Gabby Doolin before was presenting himself as the former fighter of the Wagner group. He became the author of the book about the volunteers, and it's called To the Same Rear Twice. As it turned out, he never was in Wagner, and all the events and stories he completely made up or actually took it from the open sources. Despite these facts, he continued to actually present himself as the played the role of the former fighter in the front of the Western press. Of course! How else can you explain to those morons that actually the guy is a fraud? They cannot do this, but here it is. This is not just interview with him where he admits himself. Here is the video. And here's Mr. Marat Gabby Doolin, as you can see yourself. It's in 2020, where he signs what is called civil interrogation. Civil interrogation, you go to the notary and some kind of attorney. They get in front of you and they begin to ask you what you're going to do with your, for example, book. And he signs here the papers about the fact that actually this book is complete fantasy and he is not whom he tries to present himself, because obviously it is done to avoid further being sued into the oblivion by people who are actual professionals and who know what they're dealing with. And guess what? He actually escaped to France. The story tells us about that Mr. Gabby Doolin actually is a former criminal. Allegedly, he was some kind of the enlisted personnel somewhere. Maybe he was in Syria. I don't know. But here is what the transcript of what he's saying, some of it during this signing ceremony. And here it is. And this was notary approved on the 3rd of December 2020. I write a book. Using this occasion, I tried to advertise it to create a demand and interest from readers to make money. People from the internet publishing Medusa, which is a foreign agent, it's a front for MI6 and other organizations like this. Specifically, Lilia Yaparo, they called me even in April, and I agreed to give them interview and support and confirm the information which they gave to me. This writer basically stated. He also confirmed that every single data of his connection to the orchestra of Wagner Group is complete lie. No, obviously not. What kind of fighter I am? I'm old broken after very tumultuous youth of 1990s. Yeah, he was in prison. He worked for the organized criminal group. I heard and read all different things in internet about Wagner, so I decided to become their member, to present themselves as their member. Now it is very actual topic, so and this book will be actually fictional writing, as if from the first person. And then he said, I have no idea, but the topic itself turned out to be beautiful. Journalists write about the Wagner and Prigozhin, so I think so that I need to write, as my former boss, to write it myself. And he said, I don't think so he's going to hurt himself, but it will be a good profit, to himself. And at least as a minimum, the interest of the Medusa publishing house and others have been detected. Well, what can I say, guys? Medusa, as I already stated, it's registered as the not only foreign agent in Russia, but it also has been thrown out of Russia. It basically operates out of Latvia. And guess what? The whole story about Mr. Gabby Doolin is complete fake and fraud created by Medusa and, of course, spread by all those, BS organizations, such as this stupid Irish girl who writes about this as the fact. Well, in reality, Gabby Doolin comes across as complete amateur. And there you go. So I think so I should call myself an admiral and said that I command that Russian Pacific Fleet. Well, why not? Hey, come on. I mean, I can sell books by doing this, but hey, this is the level of Western journalism, all of it. And when people continue to promote this garbage and this trash, basically, because it is basically nothing more than stuffing of the story. They take this adventurist and fraud who lives now in France, and he goes around in France, and French media are about the same level as British ones, and he sells his story, which brings us to the whole other dimension of this show, to speak. And well, people say that, oh my God, Andre, you speak so much about the fact that how stupid they are, but no, they should know, some of them, should know the real score and, things of this nature, and that they do it deliberately to the, basically mislead and confuse the public. Well, sure, I mean, some of them may know, but here is my dear friend Larry Johnson, and Larry Johnson is professional, intelligence professional with the CIA State Department counterterrorism pedigree. And here's what he writes yesterday, and that brings us to the very more important issue even, because it deals with U.S. military. Here's what Larry writes yesterday, and I strongly suggest you to read this on his wonderful blog. And as you can see yourself, he talks about this, this absolutely crude and stupid, rara video, but here it is. Unfortunately, the policymakers in Washington, D.C., with responsibility for intelligence and military matters, do not appear receptive to his friends Steve Stark's accurate assessment of the fact that basically they live in the alternative universe. A friend still involved in the day-to-day operations sent me following video. This is from the U.S. Armed Forces. He said this is making the rounds among the company grade officers, IS second lieutenant, first lieutenant, and captains, and enlisted personnel. A majority of the American military actually believes this stuff, especially the Zoomers. Reddit, the main social media apps of today use, is chock full of this garbage. Although the video is a lame attempt at humor, the narrative meme is not a joke. Many younger officers genuinely believe that we have Russia over a barrel and can take out Putin at will. And this is an astonishing admission, not by me. It's one thing, I'm former Russian military professional, sitting here telling you things and, writing books about it. But it's totally another when you have a senior officers and some very senior officers who still are in the U.S. Armed Forces and who are friends of Larry, and they say, yeah, they believe this garbage. They believe this trash. It goes around. And when you talk about this, you have to understand we are dealing with which I constantly am on record. Some of them know the score. Even Mark Milley had those, moments of clarity. He has some kind of lucid thoughts once in a while. But then again, he is one of maybe few people in Pentagon on the higher level who understand the gravity of the situation and what is coming, or actually what is already happening. But majority of those guys, all those young junior officers, they have no even the, I'm on record, they don't even have the military academic background to understand and grasp it. Many of them went through the ROTC schools, and that means they, as Mr. Radekin, some of them are lawyers, some of them maybe journalists, I don't know, they just enrolled and got their commission as the officers, and they had mostly some fleeting knowledge of tactics. They have been taught how to march, maybe. They have been given them kind of a little bit of field manuals. They don't have background to understand how the warfare works. And there you go. They only know how to command a platoon at best, and so there you go. Company level, sure, but that's the whole point. They do not teach. There is no enough time to teach, for example, theory of operational research, fundamentals of the operations, and the real serious command control on the operational strategic levels. There's simply none of this, except if you probably have the couple of lectures, even in West Point. I don't know what is going on in West Point now. And Larry and his friends, they do confirm it, a horrifying truth. And as I already stated, many of them, political top is absolutely 100%, is completely, ignorant of anything military related. And that brings us to the whole situation, which is of the upcoming NATO summit in Vilnius. And look at this. We already have those motions, and from Ukraine preceding this basically gathering. And of course we have this still alive Budanov, who, look at this, even before the meeting started, he already states that it won't satisfy Kiev. I'm sure some words will be declared, but nothing besides that. I'm pretty sure that will be spoken ahead. I have seen the drafts of the speeches, he claimed. According to the Times, the spy chief sounded momentarily more disappointed in the behavior of his allies than that of his enemies. Well, you know what? Obviously nobody wants Ukraine into NATO. And this is the separate illegal issue apart from the purely military or geopolitical one. But here we have, here's Zelensky now. Of course, we know what happens with this counteroffensive, and I will get to it in a minute. And guess what? He begins to blame, of course, NATO. Speaking to CNN, Zelensky admitted that Ukraine's counteroffensive, which has been running for about 2 months, have been slowed down by Russian defenses, by strong Russian defenses. It haven't been slowed down. I mean, it's obviously euphemisms they use for the PR reasons and to brainwash, otherwise pretty stupid, let's face it, average Western public, which doesn't understand military issues at all. And he says, the Ukrainian leader explained, that Kiev knew the delays would result in slower progress. I don't see any progress there, but okay, let's say that there is a progress. Everyone understood that if the counteroffensive unfolds later, then a bigger part of our territory will be mined. We give our enemy the time and possibility to place more mines and prepare the defensive lines. Classic politician talk, even considering the fact that the guy is most of the time is high. And of course he now found another point or Wunderwaffe to blame, Russian mines. Well, he doesn't understand that armed forces fight as a system, and they have the toolkit. And obviously, as Larry piece in his blog tells you, the same as it's true for pretty much any Western politician, they don't even understand the Russian toolkit, military toolkit. Even some military officers, well, many of them, as you already noticed, do not know this toolkit. They still think that they can, call on close air support, that A-10 or F-16 will fly in, and then bang, But obviously, what can I say? I'm doing my part here trying to educate people on this issue. But that also brings us to the issue of yet another kind of interesting happening on the eve of this NATO meeting. And some people say that, oh, it's maybe good cop, bad cop. It's not good, bad cop trying to play here by, being played here by NATO. Russians don't care about bad, good cop. Russians operate strictly on what is they dealing in terms of facts on the ground. But here it is. The Telegraph, it's another sewer, but again, there are no other media other than sewer, basically, in the modern Anglo-American world, albeit it's true for France and Germany too. And here it is. The Telegraph hints why Biden snubbed UK on NATO leadership. And here's the story, which I think so it's true. And the US has refused to back United Kingdom Defense Secretary Ben Wallace's bid to become the next NATO Secretary General over his ambitious plans for military support of Ukraine in its conflict with Russia. The Daily Telegraph reported on Wednesday, citing sources. However, According to Telegraph, Washington was dismayed when Britain, along with the Netherlands, agreed last month to form an international coalition to help Kyiv procure US-made F-16s and train Ukrainian pilots to fly the fourth-generation jets without asking for Washington's approval first. Actually, I do buy mainly this version, because it is true. Well, Biden might be also, you know, Anglophobe, if some people say, because of his Irish background. I don't know, maybe it kind of factors in here. But the truth is, there is no doubt that NATO is the United States. The US is NATO. Without US, there is no NATO, and United Kingdom today is a pipsqueak militarily and economically. But for some reason, and when you look at the basically level, or rather pathetic level, of modern Western military education and officer preparation, you begin to understand. It's not surprising that those guys, I mean, they have some issues, not only imperial issues, no doubt. Some people, very many people in UK still suffer from this, you know, what is the syndrome, postpartum syndrome, or whatever the hell it is, of losing their empire. But the point is, they also have the complex of inferiority, because frankly speaking, UK armed forces are a joke. And Mr. Wallace, who, oh God, I don't want to go there. I mean, the guy is not very bright, to put it mildly, and as evidenced from my last video, you have people from probably aristocratic classes or some connections who primarily get the positions of this level, but they are not serious military people, and as I already demonstrated again in the last video, they don't even know how to fight a modern war. And again, UK doesn't even have F-16s. It's Netherlands which has those F-16s, which are basically, you know what, in the decrepit state. They are very old fighters. Yeah, they're fourth generation, but the airframes themselves are very old, and they have to be written off pretty soon, because Netherlands is buying F-35s. And then they decide to prepare fighters from Ukraine. Good luck with that. But the question here is not that the United States really cares about basically escalation. It's the fact that obviously Biden and his team couldn't tolerate the fact that the pecking order has been violated by United Kingdom. Does United States know basically what United Kingdom present out of itself today? Some people certainly do. I mean, it's pathetic, really. I mean, and now you have these guys trying to lead something. And of course, United States exploded in this respect. Not because they do not want to escalate. They will escalate eventually. But the point is that, yeah, how dare they? And to understand that when I talk about United Kingdom and its armed forces being a joke, which they are, let me tell you one story. On October 1957, when the Soviets launched first ever artificial satellite, Sputnik, into orbit, this Sputnik's famous radio frequency beep, beep, beep became legendary, and people all around the world were kind of tuning their whatever their radio receivers and listening to this. And some were trying to find the Sputnik in the skies using telescopes. And there is a strategic secret there. Actually, the battery, which was on this small, you know, little ball with all those antennas flying in the space, was actually from Great Britain, from United Kingdom. And so you can say that, yeah, British actually have been first in the space with Russians, and Russians say it, of course, in good nature, you know, but truth is, yeah, they had this battery, you know, which was powering this, you know, generator, and there you go. So, but that, in the same time, doesn't prevent British to have no less than that, and I am talking about this. They have the Minister of Defense of Great Britain has Space Command, no less. Yes, I kid you not. It was established in 2022. Well, evidently they have only one beam-use radar on the territory of Great Britain, which is, of course, their ballistic early warning missile systems radar early detection. But look at this. They even have joint doctrine publication, UK Space Power. And when you look at this, it's like, my God, I mean, are those people for real? But evidently they are. And when you go and look at what they write here, look at this. Evidently, space power, when they give the definition of the space power, is defined as exerting influence in, from, or through space. The ability to influence is critical to achieve wider UK government aims. And the question is, since when the United Kingdom has any space power? But no, they evidently do, as you see yourself, they even have the document, and, they say that the credibility underpinned by the coherent strategy plays a large part in the ability to successfully exert influence in space. Last time I checked, the UK influence in space was approaching zero, and unlike the United States, which is the space superpower, is still it has a magnificent unmanned research program. Now they basically, NASA is transformed into some parts of the Musk empire. But I mean, the United States does have a very advanced space program, so does Russia. But how the heck UK factors in here, I don't know. And again, when you look at this, it is a complete complex of inferiority. And when people who will try to tell me that, oh yeah, Anglophobe. No, actually I am Anglophone. I love English language. I love the best in the English culture. You cannot remove my love for Beatles, Charles Dickens, just how can you remove it? Shakespeare, there will be no Western civilization in a larger sense without Shakespeare to speak about, British and their influence on the world. But the point is, today it's a pathetic island, or group of islands, if you wish, which has a zero influence on anything of value, of anything significance in the what would be called those famous Barnett's 14 points, or if you wish, the combined index of the national capability. Yet the guys still pretend. They still try to, do bad things to Russia and Russians. They are really good at killing peaceful people, really. So they're good at killing cats, they're good at killing, Skripals, or maybe stealing them or torturing them probably, but they are not military power. They have dozen frigates. Well, they don't have much time once the war starts. And to demonstrate it to you, again, we can go back to the July and continuation of the so-called offensive by these guys, from Armed Forces of Ukraine. And here's the statistics of it. Latest, including for the 7th. As you can see yourself, there are Butcher's bill today in the last 7 days is almost 5,000 KIAs, as you can see yourself, tanks, armored vehicles, artillery pieces. Russians actually shut down few more aircraft which tried to fly from the Ukrainian territory. And so what can I say? You cannot really explain those to modern Western elites, and especially Anglo-American elites. They have no clue what they're dealing with. And as you saw yourself, and when you have military which doesn't understand what it is dealing with, and especially military which didn't fight combined arms in decades, and actually it didn't fight it probably since 1950s in Korean conflict. And when you look at this, it's just like, my God, what the hell is going on here? But well, I can tell you in conclusion what the hell is going on here. Here's Mr. Pence, this colorless, born-again Christian. It's a separate story. He's Christian Zionist, and and he's a neocon. That's what you would expect from this, from Mr. Trump to get himself as a vice president, who sold him out left, right. And so here it is. 2 days ago, Pence speaking on Hewitt Show said Russian military operation in Ukraine is not just warfare, it is evil, adding that he believes Russian leader Vladimir Putin is facing sharp divisions inside Russia. Pence promised that if elected, he would ensure Ukraine received whatever aid was required to win. So we have to understand, Pence is not very bright man. He is an American lawyer who ended up being at some point of time governor of Indiana state, but other than that, the guy is absolutely colorless and actually pathetically funny when he tried to do his stare of death to Putin. The guy I mean, it goes pretty much to any American politician because they have no clue how reasonable they look like. And so he again goes out, you know, trying to promote his candidacy, which will lose dramatically for some kind of presidential bid. But what can I say? It's same old story, same old recycling of all those freaks from the politics who are just firmly in the pockets of the military-industrial complex, Israeli lobbies or any other lobbies they have there in Washington, D.C., and they will continue to spew the BS and continue to confuse people. And it goes across, as I already stated, all Western institutions today, be them political, be them media, be them military, and be them economic. And as, you know what, you see yourself what is happening around once you open your eyes, and we see the whole combined West in the free fall. And this is what I wanted to tell you for your weekend. I know you wanted to hear something, you know, uplifting and wonderful about some things. And believe me, there are many of them which make our life worth living. But I will be talking about it probably later. But you know what? If you feel bad, just, you know, pour yourself some bourbon and listen to great blues. Listen to Joe Bonamassa, for crying out loud, and enjoy it. So this is, guys, everything I had to say to you for today. And please, those who like what I do, subscribe to my channel and support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee on too. Jack Daniels. And I'll talk to you later, guys. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.